I'm going to show you this makeup look from scratch today and give you an idea of how I've tweaked my makeup in this really warm weather. I love wearing a load of makeup and I've gone to lots of festivals and things recently where I want to feel put together, but ultimately when it's sweaty, your makeup sits completely differently. You get sweaty through the day, things run and move around. And so just by making something like this that doesn't really have any harsh lines but still feels put together, I feel like it's been much easier to maintain, and then when you do get a bit grubby and sweaty, you can just kind of use your fingers and smudge everything back into place and it's not the end of the world. So I hope you enjoy. Just to manage your expectations, I can see a plug has come down the garden and I'd said to my dad, oh, would you mind just giving me like half an hour before you do anything noisy because I'm just going to do a quick video. And he was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll go in the garden, don't worry about me. There are now power tools in the garden. I don't know what the sound is going to be like, but I've been bursting to have a chat with you, so we'll work around it. So to start us off, I'm not going out today, so I'm not going to put any SPF on. My skin is a little bit dry. I'm going to use my Toleraine sensitive cream. This is from La Roche-Posay, and if you've got any redness or sensitivity or anything like that, this is one of my most recommended moisturisers, and it's one of the things that I have repurchased the most over the years. It's really, really buttery. I can feel with how dry my skin is today that my makeup isn't going to go on in the same way, and it's going to be a case that I need to exfoliate this evening, so I will do that. It's difficult to exfoliate when you have redness or rosacea, and you have to be really careful. There's a few things that I can comfortably use that don't cause me any irritations. One of them is a beautiful Elemis cleanser. It's the AHA Butter Cleanser, and it's so gentle and it will gently nibble away at any of that dead skin. It's a really lovely way to take your makeup off. And the other one is an Ella & Joe AHA and BHA liquid, and you just use that with some cotton wool. So I will use one of those, but I appreciate it's really difficult when you are red. However, the last few days of doing my makeup, my CC cream that I wear all day every day isn't sitting in the same way, and I know that that hasn't changed. It's my skin that's changed, and come tomorrow or come a couple of days time, it will feel completely different when it is sitting on freshly exfoliated skin. So moisturise all over. Oh, let me just put this on Do Not Disturb. There we go. And what I've basically been doing while it's been this warm is not using anything with any harsh lines. So let me start by using some of my CC cream. What I mean by that is, instead of using any graphic eyeliner or anything that is really particularly sharp, I've just been going for smudgy washes of colour on eyes, complexion, everything. And then when they get a bit sweaty and grungy through the day, you're actually fine. Now, I'm using my original CC cream from IT Cosmetics, and I'm using the shade Fair Light at the moment. Depending on how much tan I've got on, I can go up to light medium. Sometimes I might mix a little bit of the two, but I'm in Fair Light today because I haven't tanned in a couple of days. And you know something? Oh, that was my brother at the door, and between him and my dad, and actually my dad has got power tools ready to go out there, I just feel like this is generally going to be a video with a lot of background noise in it, but I don't have any other time to do it than now, so I'm sure we'll be fine. What I was going to say, two things actually. The day I'm making this, IT Cosmetics has gone into Amazon's Prime Day deals. So if you do wear the CC cream, or if you've been wanting to try it or anything really from it, they're nearly 30% off, which is so lovely. And the other thing I was going to say to you when I was talking about the shades I'm using, I follow this lovely girl, Eleanor Wood. She's like a little northern Sabrina Carpenter, and I met her about a year ago at a Boots thing, and she was really, really lovely. And she makes content about lots of different things, like she talks about general beauty and fashion and stuff. She's also shared a lot about how she has endometriosis, and I've never had an official diagnosis of that, but I'm fairly certain that I have that because I experience really, really awful periods, and I'm in the middle of a few things for that. But she is super fair and she tans like me, and recently she has been making more content of doing her makeup without her tan on. She credited this other girl that is fair, that encourages her to love her pale skin, and she's kind of passed it down to me. So basically I think what I'm going to try and do is sometimes when I haven't got any tan on, or I'm just about to do it or whatever, I want to do some more content with my fair skin, because funnily enough, when I was away, by the way, I'm using a Too Faced melting bronzing and sculpting stick. No shade to Too Faced at all, but like this is the last brand I would have really gravitated to. I know it's lovely stuff and people rave about it, but it just wouldn't have necessarily called out to me on a beauty haul. And I tried this maybe a year or so ago. It's one of my favourite like bronzing sticks I've ever used. It's so great. I'm just using the same, this is the It Cosmetics Complexion Perfection brush. I'm not contouring, I don't want the lines to give you the impression that I'm trying to go for something super sculpted. I'm just putting the bronzer like in places where I want it to look like the sun's hit me. What was I going to say to you now? Eleanor Wood, I've already spoken about her. Bronzer. Oh yeah, when I was away, as the week was going on, like Glastonbury was so lovely, I'll tell you about that in a minute. It was so incredibly sweaty that like I did plan to film get ready videos and stuff like that, but my face was wet with sweat. I could barely get my SPF to stick to me, because I think it might have been that my tent was like a lighter colour or something. It was so warm. So because of that, a lot of my plans went out the window in terms of making videos and also keeping it with my tan. The first night I got there, I did a second layer of tan because I'd done like a full shave, exfoliate everything the night before, had one layer of tan on, wanted to add another one, and it was just too hot and like I knew nothing was going to stick. So as the week went on, I got paler and paler, and I didn't care less. And do you know what was so funny? On the last day, I had like really short shorts on, a little t-shirt again because it was melting, super pale. And I was looking around all the girls I was with and they were all the same colour as me, and I was thinking, but they look great, so why am I thinking I need to put tan on? Because I'm genuinely looking at all of them thinking, well, they look great and they haven't got any tan on, like why am I beating myself up over it? And it really made me think twice about the amount I panic about having tan on. So I'm going to try and just here and there be a bit less less worried about whether I've got it on or not. Just to show you, this is one of the Charlotte Tilbury new blush sticks. This is the shade Rosy Glow. Rosy Glow and this and my CC cream. This is the best combination I've had in a long time. If you like the CC cream, I think you'll love this. I think you'll love these. They all work really well together because they're all creamy, but they're all really pigmented. And I found as well, like I like a creamy finish, especially in this warm weather, to just give you luminosity. I find that creams are so much easier to deal with in the heat, in the warm. I know that might sound counterintuitive, but if you've got anything massively powdery on during the warm weather, it can feel cakey. Whereas because all of these feel creamy, you already feel a bit creamy and sweaty because it's so hot, and they're just so much easier to press back into place if they've moved around a little. They have been on rotation for me for weeks and weeks and weeks. That's kind of my dream summer skin combo. Now, that's complexion done. The next thing I've been doing, which has made such a huge difference, I meant to put some sunglasses here so I could show you, but never mind. I've massively gone back to a bit of a sculpted brow. You've probably noticed, well, you probably haven't noticed. I can tell you, because why would you be noticing such a detail? If you go back through like the last God knows how many videos I've done, I've been really in like a brushed up brow kind of frame. I love a brushed up brow. I think it looks really natural and pretty and fluffy. However, the reason I've massively gone back to a bit more of a sculpted brow is on the days when you can't be bothered, or even just say in the warmth, because you're wearing your sunglasses all the time, if you've got a sharp brow and your sunglasses on and a nice lippy, you feel completely put together. So let's say, for example, at Glastonbury, as the week went on and I was prepared for it this time because it happened to me the last time, I have really sensitive eyes, and so after a few days of doing really bright colours and glitters and all the rest of it, my eyes are going to be streaming, and that's the end of that. There's no getting around it. That's what's happening. So let's say the last day, I just thought there's no point me putting anything on, because not only is it not going to last, but I'm going to feel uncomfortable and it's just going to irritate me. So I just did a sharp brow, nice red lip, left my glasses on all day. Absolutely great. This is the IT Cosmetics Brow Power Pencil, and this is honestly one of the easiest brow products you'll ever use. This was created by the founder of IT Cosmetics, Jamie Kern-Lima. Basically, before she founded the brand, she was actually a news anchor, and she really plucked her eyebrows. She will tell you all of this herself, or even if you watch old videos of her explaining her inspiration behind the products. She really overplucked her brows, and so she wanted a pencil that would cling to skin as well as hair. And this is really great for if you have any little gaps, it will fill them. And it just gives you, like, as you can see, I'm brushing it through here, you can still get like a soft, fluffy, hairy finish, which is what I like. I like them to look nice and natural, but at the same time, if I were to go outside now and have some photos, I've got that nice face framing, little lip on, you feel really put together. So that has definitely been one of the small things I've done to change my makeup that means I can make less effort everywhere else, and you really see it in your photos. So now, let me see which colours I'm going to use. Basically, I've ditched eyeliners for a bit because I'm going to be hot and sweaty. I don't want anything pressing. I'm wearing a lot more creams, but I've wanted like a nice face of makeup on. I have taken with me to the last few festivals these little Morphe palettes. Morphe, in the last little while, I have to say, I feel like are bringing out some really lovely, relatively affordable things that are very versatile. And what I've noticed, they have these 6 palettes in quite a few shades. They have these palettes with all your neutrals in, but they'll have a little pop of something. So something like this, if you were going to a festival, is really lovely, because you do have that on the day that you're feeling a bit brighter. But if you want your comfort zone colours, you've got those as well. I'm going to use this one and basically just give you a rough idea of what I've been doing, because I have been mixing and matching my colours quite a bit, to be fair. So I'm just going to wipe over the eyelid and check that no CC cream is gathered there. That's quite a normal thing if you've just swept your makeup all over. I'm going to start with a fluffy brush. And isn't it funny when you have been watching someone over and over and the impact they can have? I've been really, really enjoying Eleanor Wood's makeup videos over the last few months. And I found on the first day when I went to do my makeup, I had one of these Morphe palettes, and it was one with like blues, pinks. There was no cohesive colour story really. Each colour was like a completely different pop of colour. And I just put them all on together, and it was one of my favourite makeups. Like, it's just so lovely, I think, like taking in a little bit of each person's different style and making it your own. And I was just really glad that, I don't know, part of me was just like, well, she'd put all this on together and it'd look great, so I'm gonna do the same. I didn't take any photos or anything, but I'll do that one for you another day actually, because I remember which colours I put together. So I'm using a matte shade and kind of going up through here. There's so much noise in the next room. This house, the noise travels really quickly. So if it is too noisy, I might stop for a moment, but I'm going to try and talk over it and hope for the best. This looks kind of a lot when you first see it, and it's probably going to feel really, really bold. But I am also tilting back here so I can get right in these nooks and crannies. And by the time I blend this out and then like look forward on, it's not going to look anywhere near as frightening. And I'm just going to brush this upwards into that brow. It gives it kind of like an 80s feel, but it looks really lovely and just kind of adds a nice shape to the whole makeup. I'm going to start with a matte shade, really softly blended all through the socket, and then use slightly bolder colours on the lid itself. Or I might even go lighter and let this be a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for, like a sculpting shape. There's a lot of noise in the background, so just a second, I'm going to pause, wait for them to settle, and I'll be back. I've just blended that out a little bit with my finger. It's the same single colour, but just really softened out. And you see how there's no real, okay, admittedly, apart from maybe the centres there's no real start and end. It's just a bit of a wash of colour. And I think now you can really see the sharpness of those brows as well, how it's coming together. Now, another thing I've been doing a bit more of is making like a real accent of highlighter. To be honest with you, I feel like I've massively leant back into kind of 2016, 2017, that kind of time where everything was a bit more sculpted, but a lot of the layers of that time photographed beautifully. You have a few more pops of colour, and they were generally, I know they're a bit more sculpted and everything, but they were just a bit more camp. I feel like you've got all these little layers and pops of colour here that you feel that bit more put together when they're on. And like, especially if you're going dancing or listening to music or something, they just feel a bit more fun. So I've really, really been enjoying these kind of techniques again. Now I'm taking a bit of highlighter in the inner corners. This can look quite strong when it's on its own, but then by the time the whole look comes together, it will all melt in really nicely. Power tools are on here. There's a bit of hedge trimming going on, so we're all making noise at the same time. And then I'm gonna now use a little bit of this shimmery taupey shade and just buff this all over the eyelids, and I might use my finger for this actually, ring finger, nice and dense, to pack it onto the lid. That's better. And then I'll use the buffing brush to soften the edge between the line of the crease and then this socket where that soft plum had been taken through. Okay, so nice fluffy brush to go through all of that. And in a way it renders the, it does render the other purple obsolete, but it just means that everything looks seamlessly blended. And isn't it mad? But like, now that you look at that forward on, you don't notice that there was that purple there. Everything just kind of has blurred into one blendy, smudgy situation. I use the same brush to just the end, go underneath the lash line there. With your brushes, it doesn't matter where you get them from. What does matter is I would recommend that you have something fluffy to do your blending with, something flat to do like a dense wash of colour with, and ideally, I don't think I have one here because I'm not planning to do anything like this today, a tiny little like pencil smudger brush to do any inner corners or blending out of liner, that kind of thing. If you have those three shapes from any brand, I think you can, in theory, do any kind of makeup. And just to explain why I think these are better in hot weather, As the day goes on, this will get sweaty and smudgy and gather in lines. That's what everyone's makeup does, especially in the hot weather. It's just a given, but because it's just a wash of eyeshadow, you can just use your ring finger and smudge it back into place and it's going to be fine. And that's what I want on a busy day. I don't want anything high maintenance. It's quite nice sometimes when it goes a bit grungy, and just keeping an eye and making sure you put everything back in place is going to be the best way to do it, rather than eyeliner printing. Or like for me with my watery eyes, I'd have one perfect wing and another one that's like crumbling and going a bit crusty. We don't want any of that. Now to finish that look, I'm going to use one of the new Half Magic mascaras. This is the shade New Bombshell. New Bombshell has entered the villa. Half Magic mascaras are all tubing, and another thing about them is they use pearl in the mascara. So like, even though this is a brown, the fact that they've used like a bit of a pearly base to it means that it shows up like a true brown. I really think you see, because they have like a teal, a violet, a black, the brown, I really think you see the colour a lot more compared to lots of other mascaras, and it's quite unique to have a coloured tubing mascara, so that's really nice. One thing I will say with tubing mascaras, they remove with water instead of like traditionally like an ink would. So for that reason, if you are someone who makeup prints on you a lot, these are going to be the perfect way to prevent that happening. And so if you're going to any kind of hot weather destination or festival or something like that, I would really, really, really recommend using a tubing mascara. Most of the time I tend to use tubing mascara for the reason that everything naturally does print on me. There are a few exceptions. The thing with tubing mascara is it's not very volumizing. So on a day when I want loads of volume, I'm going to use my It Cosmetics Superhero, because nothing gives you volume like that. Or Lancome do great mascaras, and nothing gives you like definition, length, things like that. However, for me, I would much rather on an average day to day forfeit some of that impact for knowing that I'm not going to have to look at my face because nothing's going to have smudged. And if you're like, say for me, having just been to Glastonbury, I just took my makeup off with micellar water every day. It's a few days, it's not the end of the world. I know it's not the most hygienic, but that's what you sign up for. Not that micellar water isn't hygienic, but like in general, not having running water and a, you know, proper cleanse for a few days. Yes, it's not ideal, but it's all part and parcel, isn't it? But micellar water got tubing mascara off more than adequately for me. And I will maybe make some separate videos with some stuff about what was best to pack and all of that, because I've still got a few coming up. Basically this summer, I have bought loads of musical things for myself so that I can go and make content at them, because I would love to do more kind of music journalism, music content, that kind of thing. And so I thought, if I go of my own accord, do the kind of things that I enjoy, then when I'm pitching to people, they know I'm genuinely interested because I've gone of my own accord, done it in my own time, spent my own money. So that's why you've seen a big uptick in more music stuff, because I'm just trying to do that a bit more. And sometimes I haven't even got tickets. Like, one of my favourite things I've done in ages was on Saturday just gone, the final Black Sabbath gig was in Birmingham. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about heavy metal, so this had largely gone over my head. But as the week went on, I was speaking to like Sam, who's the store manager at Selfridges in Birmingham. If you're ever in there, bearing in mind I used to work there for years, they are the nicest team you'll ever meet, and Sam is one of the loveliest people, and she's the biggest cheerleader for Birmingham. So I messaged Sam the other day and I was like, Sam, can you give me a bit of a top line of this concert? And like, I had no idea of what a lineup it was, how important it was for anyone that loves heavy metal, what a special day it was. And then I was speaking to my friend Kirsty Bosley. She's fantastic. She's a journalist in Birmingham. She loves heavy metal, so it was right up her street. And they both just told me how important and meaningful it was to people. So on Saturday morning, I was like, I've got to go to Villa Park and just chat to people. So I just went to Villa Park for a few hours. I didn't see the concert or anything, but I asked everyone why they were happy to be there and to tell me a bit about why it was so meaningful to them. That's one of my favourite videos I've ever made. So I just feel like I'm really enjoying just trying something new and doing all this different stuff, but I'm trying to find ways as well that I'm not completely alienating you if you're here more for makeup things. So I'm trying to do my little get readies and a chat through, and hopefully it's I feel like I'm just jumping from one thing to another, but hopefully it translates that, like, I think when you do something you enjoy, you'll attract people that also enjoy it. And I've been finding when I do something a bit different, I will hear from people I've never heard from before, and that's really lovely. It's so lovely, I can't tell you, to hear from anyone when you've put yourself out there and made a piece of content. Any feedback is so lovely, but more especially if it's someone that has never reached out to you before, and then you feel like, oh, maybe, you know, maybe I've never done something that makes you feel fully included here. And if this is the thing today that's made you feel fully included, that you've reached out, that just fills me with so much joy. So I'm trying to work out all the other ones I should go to. Like, I feel like I want to go to the Oasis queue, but that again is going to be like such a different, there's literally no crossover. Is that, like, I love Oasis, everyone loves a bit of Oasis, but like I'm not going to that gig. And I was very young when they were out, so I feel like there's other people that will be more meaningful for. But it's a big one, and I feel like we've got to be there, so stay tuned, I'm sure that's coming. Anyway, what am I even going on about? Lips. Pretty much my combo for all the festivals has been a Peaches liner and a KOSAS Baby Rose. I have to say, Peaches liners, there's no better liners. They are fantastic. They do eyeliners and lip liners. They're a fraction of the price of all of the expensive ones, and they're genuinely better. KOSAS is one of my favourite brands. I absolutely love KOSAS. Everything I've tried from KOSAS, I've loved. Those lippies are great. I also bought this to one side to show you. Do you remember I showed you their new SPF a little while ago? It's slightly tinted, it's very, very buttery and rich, so if you're dry like me, you're going to love it. They have just brought out dinky little versions of them. Now, if you're looking for a day-to-day SPF, there's no point buying the dinky one because you'll want the bigger one. If you are specifically going to a festival and you want a light to carry bag, I would really recommend that. I don't think that's going to be enough for a full week holiday, but like 3-4 days of a festival, wanting as little as you can in your bag, absolutely great. Like, I cannot wait to take that to my next one. So yes, we love a bit of KOSAS. Now, Peony is a bit deeper than I have been wearing, but let's go for Peony. I've been tending to wear, that's not going to be the right vibe. I've been tending to wear Rosebud or Sweet Pea. They're slightly lighter, but let's give it a go and buff it right out. It's a lovely colour. I just think two of the lighter ones would be a bit better with this eye makeup. And look how nicely that's blending out. I do have a bit of lip balm on, but they're really lovely and easy to work with. And another thing I've been doing a bit less, I haven't been overlining my lips as much, which, like, that's all I ever do usually, but it's another step that looks really artificial, so you notice when it's worn off. So I can't be bothered with the upkeep of massively overlining them, and it's more the outer corners that I tend to overline. So I've just been following the natural small little line on my lips, and nobody's died yet, so I think we can continue to do that. Isn't it funny, the things you build up in your head, that, oh, I don't look nice unless I do this, I don't look nice unless I do that. You look fine, and no one's looking anyway, are they? That's the big thing I think we all need to remember. don't get me wrong, I don't want to invalidate like myself or you if you're worried about something, but I think we all need to massively remember that these things that we're worrying about, no one else is looking at or thinking about, because they're probably worried about something in themselves. So we don't need to be like worrying about all these big things, more especially if it's something like a relaxing environment that you've gone away. Everyone's just soaking up who they've gone to see. No one is sat there thinking, can you believe Rose's lip shape is actually a lot smaller than all of her videos have portrayed? Who is asked? Absolutely no one. So let's go another bit of this Baby Rose. You can actually just see how lovely that is, can't you? Very hydrating. It's just as rich as a lip balm. It has just as much pigment as a lipstick. Very low maintenance. I have very dry lips, and tinted things tend to gather to the dry bits as the days go on. It will just fade off with no crumbling or bitty pigment or anything. Fantastic. Oh, and then the number one thing, the number one thing that I cannot recommend enough, that I'm convinced makes a huge difference, is the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. This is the watermelon version, which is very hyaluronic acid heavy. I took this one with me the last time. I think my favourite one is the original. There's not much difference in it, but I just feel like the original one is the most die-hard of them. But a nice generous dose of this all over. Give it 10 minutes. Absolutely lovely. Not even 10 minutes. Just give it a few seconds to dry down. Absolutely lovely. See, it's nice and cool in my living room, so I've got no powder on. But when I was away, the main thing that I would do is set with some powder. This is my It Bye Bye Pores powder, which is translucent. And what I would tend to do is just make sure there's no eyeshadow on this. A brush about that size. I don't want a huge brush because I don't want to set the whole face, because of what I was saying to you earlier about how when you set the whole face, it just feels heavy and cakey and you're already in the heart. Instead, just anywhere that tends to look shiny as the day goes on. So that tends to be on me, around here, up there, definitely kind of around here, along this area. This is the area on me. You can't see it now. I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence, but as the day goes on, and I've got a naturally very full of expression face, I'm starting to notice my first little fine lines in my skin, and I get a deep set line here where the makeup gathers, and I get one little one there. The thing is, listen, I am not going to make any promises because I don't know how I'm going to feel, and I'm very much like, do whatever makes you happy. As far as I feel at the moment, and I've always felt, and you know, I might change my mind, but I don't plan to have any injectables. I've always kind of thought, I don't know, I'll just, you know, your face changes, doesn't it? And I might change my mind. I know plenty of people that have little subtle bits and pieces done and it looks lovely on them. But I don't know, I've just never really seen myself doing that. So I'm kind of excited over time to like weave that into my content when I need to. But basically, from a perspective of noticing them, again, I'm not insulting your intelligence. There's nothing for us to look at right now. But if I checked in with you as the day went on, because that's where, like, see, that's where the lines kind of naturally form as I'm moving my face. Makeup gathers there. I have to keep an eye on, you know how I said I don't like to lock it all in so that if it moves around you can smudge it back into place. These are areas where I'm finding I'm smudging things back into place, so I don't want to powder them too much because I need the flexibility of pressing them back into place. But anyway, if I turn up with a load of Botox in 12 months time, please don't hold it against me. I can't see it happening, but you don't know, do you? That is about it. The main things I would say when it's super hot, and this is disgusting, but like this is what I had to do at Glastonbury, If it is absolutely boiling, try and do your makeup in a room that is as cool as possible. My tent was so hot and I was so sweaty, I was having to literally wipe the sweat off, quickly put my base on, and then move forward from there. Your makeup won't stick properly if you're putting it onto any sort of sweat, so get the sweat off before you do another thing. But then it will stay. Like, even if you're super sweaty, try not to touch it. The best thing you can be doing is just, you know, swat your hair out of your face or tie it up or do what you need to do to cool down. But the more you press and rub or like wipe the sweat away once your makeup's on, you're just taking your makeup off. The very best thing you can try and do is just leave it to it, and then your makeup will stay and you'll just be a bit sweaty on top of it, which is my personal choice. You could always use a bit of powder to take down some of the oil, but oil and sweat are two different things, and sweat will sort itself out. If you go and sit in the shade for 5 minutes, it will cool off. If you're particularly sweaty, or let's just say you're maybe having menopausal symptoms on top of this weather, pack a little hand fan. And all of these gestures, they might seem a bit dramatic, but ultimately, I know from feedback I get, the average person just wants their makeup to last all day. You might not be going to a festival, it might be a friend's barbecue or a little garden party or something. You know, if you want your makeup to last nicely, what's a 5-minute gesture? What's a quick little fan that you can find for somewhere that won't cost you the earth, that makes you feel more comfortable and means that you've got photos that you feel happy with from your special occasion? But the big thing is we're all in it together, we're all melting, and we'll miss it when it's gone. So let's just find a way around it. Have a lovely rest of your day. The next few weeks I'm at home more and I'm just planning to do general chatty bits and pieces. I'm going to go back through some of the questions from the previous videos, work my way through. If you're still here till now, thank you for watching. I'm posting a video tomorrow with boots that I'm really excited about. If you see it and you enjoy my videos, any like, comment, everything really means the world and helps to just boost my page and make sure that I can still work with people that I love. That video tomorrow is basically explaining this lovely service that they have, where they've basically trained pharmacists in store with a dermatologist, with Dr. Justine Hextall, who I love, that I always mention in my written features. She has trained pharmacists to give more elevated skin advice. So if you've been wanting to see the GP or a dermatologist maybe about your skin, you can pop into a pharmacist and have them look at it one-to-one and give you slightly elevated guidance and suggestions. More especially, they've done it with conditions like acne or rosacea in mind, which are medical. Like, you can have the best skincare routine in the world, but ultimately they are conditions that do require like a medical one-to-one. And so hopefully it'll be a really nice option for you to just have that face-to-face touch and examination, and it's free. You don't have to pay anything, but I just think it's a really lovely service, and it'll be a real lifeline for anyone that's struggling to get access to like a further level of support. So that's what tomorrow's video is about. But anyway, I hope this was helpful. Have a lovely rest of your day and I'll chat to you very soon. Take care.